Hey, welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley. Looks like there's a whole lot of people working on that new Division game that just got announced. If you missed that, Ubisoft announced the new Division last week, which caught some fans by surprise, who wanted the studio instead to keep expanding on the existing game. But creative director Julian Garrity said last week, there are so many stories and so many experiences we want to explore within the Division that we really thought a sequel was the best way to investigate these things. And while the developer, Massive Entertainment, is heading up development on the sequel, Game Reactor reports it's getting assistance from at least 5 other studios with more than 1,000 people working on it in total. That's crazy! They're putting a lot of resources into this sequel. That would make it one of the biggest, if not the biggest game Ubisoft has ever done, staff-wise. Like Ubisoft in general, it's pretty common for them to use multiple studios to work on a project, work on different parts of it, whatever, but wow, 5 studios, 1,000 employees, that's huge! No word yet on a release date, but we should be getting a look at it during the summer's E3, and who knows, maybe 1,000 people can develop a game so fast it'll be out in a month. It won't be, but that's fine. State of Decay 2 is one of Microsoft's big exclusives for this year, and now the developer, Undead Labs, is talking just a little bit more about what players can expect when the game hits. After learning the game only has a $30 price point, which is going to be welcome news to a lot of gamers who, hey, don't have to shell out the extra money, naturally the next question is whether or not that means we should be expecting any microtransactions to, make up the difference. And to that, Undead Labs says no. The developer confirmed that much in a recent live stream. However, they did add that there could be more expansions and releases just like this one in the years to come. So maybe you're looking at spending another $30 for DLC that's as big as the first release, in which case, not too shabby. There are some big changes underway at Naughty Dog, especially when it comes to who's heading up The Last of Us Part 2. You might remember that Neil Druckmann, who served as creative director of The Last of Us and Uncharted 4, has been promoted to vice president of the company. Naughty Dog president Evan Wells wrote that while Druckmann has been promoted, he will still continue to serve as creative director on Last of Us Part 2. Wells added that Anthony Newman and Kurt Margineau, who were lead game designers on Uncharted 4, are now the joint game directors on Last of Us Part 2. Wells wrote that the two have been instrumental in leading the design department and have been key contributors on our subsequent games. Meanwhile, he added that Emilia Schatz and Richard Cambier, who worked on Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us, will be lead designers for The Last of Us sequel, so sounds like they've got a pretty solid team on board. Still no word on a release date for the game. Of course, we'll hopefully be getting that at some point soon, but for now, let's continue to be patient. Bioware is responding to concerns about Anthem over one of its lead writers leaving the company. News broke last week that Mass Effect 2 co-lead writer Drew Karpshin is leaving the company for the second time. He left just before Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda on his first exit. Now, general manager Casey Hudson responded to fan concerns on Twitter, writing, "Story will always be an important part of every Bioware game. Drew has wrapped up his work on the project, but Anthem's lead writers and their teams continue to do amazing work developing the world, story, and characters." So, yeah, I guess if he's left, it's pretty obvious that he's wrapped his work on the project. Either way, we hope to see more of Anthem in the near future, and we have a full update on his exit if you want to check that out if you missed it. Hot off the success of their latest remake masterpiece, Shadow of the Colossus, developer Bluepoint has confirmed they've got another classic remake in the works, and it's even bigger in scope than Shadow of the Colossus. Digital Foundry sat down for a conversation with studio president Marco Thrush, who was asked if the company will consider making its own title. To that, Thrush said, "Well, we could, but we're doing another remake. This project served us as a great point of growing the art team to the point where we can take on a full AAA game major scope of art content. So now our next step is, let's improve the art pipeline, let's improve the engine, let's improve workflow for artists, let's grow on the art side some more to handle our next project because it's a bit bigger." Thrush later went on to add that gamers will be very excited when they find out what it is, but of course he didn't tell us because he's a tease. We've got more Fortnite crossplay drama going on. After the mobile version of Fortnite was announced last week, there was a little bit of confusion about how crossplay was going to work. It was initially announced that PS4 players were going to be able to play against people on mobile and PC, but it now seems like Xbox players are also getting crossplay against mobile and PC. You'll just note they aren't playing with each other. Epic made an announcement over the weekend to help clarify that issue. With all that crossplay love going on, you'd think it would pave the way for crossplay between the two consoles as well, right? But No such luck. On Twitter, Phil Spencer responded to a fan that he's still open to crossplay between PS4 and Xbox One, and even Fortnite's Twitter account joined in to echo the sentiment. Surprise, surprise, looks like Sony is the lone holdout, still keeping those two worlds apart. Maybe they'll just accidentally turn it on again. Sea of Thieves is just over a week away. Wow, holy crap, that kind of snuck up, maybe because of all the betas. Microsoft and Rare are holding a big old-fashioned treasure hunt to get things rolling and get the hype engines out of the station. Starting March 19th, they're giving you and for friends around the world the opportunity to find clues in places like Key West, London, Berlin, Sydney, and Paris, with the hunt leading up to 4 18-karat golden bananas worth $100,000. Of course they're golden bananas. We can lend you guys a golden Gus if you need it. The team will submit their answers to the official website, and getting them correct within the time frame will move them on to semifinals on March 22nd, at which point there will be one final clue to get those bananas. We'll include the link for the banana quest in the link dump so you can get started with your friends if you want $100,000 worth of gold bananas. Black Panther has passed yet another very impressive milestone after yet another big weekend. It's now passed the $1 billion mark at the box office worldwide. In the US alone, it's made $562 million in just 24 days, which that's pretty incredible, especially because it hasn't even been out for a month yet. It joins some elite company in the Marvel Universe. Only the first Avengers movie, Iron Man 3, Captain America Civil War, and Avengers Age of Ultron have crossed the $1 billion threshold. So yeah, sure, while that sounds like a lot of movies, it's basically just that top tier, and now Black Panther's there. In the entire history of movies, Black Panther is only the 33rd movie to cross that mark. So yeah, amazing accomplishment, proof that the Marvel money train keeps on rolling. Let's not forget, they've got another movie coming out next month. You might have heard of it. Infinity War, because remember that one got moved up and it's hitting theaters on April 27th, and I don't know, maybe that'll be the next $1 billion Marvel movie. Yeah, it will be. Imagine, if you will, someone doing a perfect run of Dark Souls. Like perfect, meaning they beat the game without ever even getting hit. That sounds insane. That sounds like who has that kind of time and dedication? But it's old news for a streamer, The Happy Hob, who pulled off the first ever no-hit run of Dark Souls back in 2016. Yeah, this is old news. Recently, he did something crazier though, which was a perfect run of all 3 Dark Souls games back to back. Wow, that's like, come on, I don't think I've been that dedicated to anything in my life. It took him about 12 months and included some setbacks, like once when he cleared the first 2 games only to get hit in Dark Souls 3, and then he had to start all the way over. But finally, just a few days ago, he did it. He beat the games in reverse order, 3, 2, then 1. After he cleared Gwen, Lord of Cinder, he let out the world's biggest sigh and yelled, "We did it!" But dude, there's no we in this. There's no we. I don't deserve any of this credit. None of us deserve any of this credit. You did that. You did that. You be proud of yourself. I will never go. You know what? I'm like, I did a platinum trophy. I'm so proud of myself. Nothing on that level. It's no secret that Toys R Us is in bad shape, sadly, for a lot of our childhoods, but it looks like the end may be near. Bloomberg reports that the bankrupt retailer hasn't found a buyer or reached a deal to restructure its debt, and so now it's preparing to liquidate its stores in the US. The report says that a shutdown of its US division has become increasingly likely in recent days. You might remember the struggling chain went into bankruptcy back in September and took out a $3.1 billion loan to keep the stores open. But apparently Toys R Us sales were lower than expected during the holidays, which obviously made things worse. The company entered this year with more than 800 stores in the US, and in January announced that it's closing 180 locations. If the stores do close, it's going to be a huge blow to the toy industry. Toys R Us makes up 50% of all toy revenue in the US. Also, it's where we go to get games and game systems when everyone else has pre-ordered them out, because hey, Toys R Us is the place that no one thinks to go. And you can probably go there. I got tons of hardware there. Just like walking in, they got walls of where everyone else is pre-ordered out. Now what am I gonna do? Ugh, this is terrible. All right, that is the news for this roundup. Kicking off a pretty strong week. Let us know what you think of all these updates in the comments down below to make sure you get news from every corner of the internet every weekday. Like this video, and hey, if you're new to this channel, subscribe to the know. And keep an eye out. A couple of us got to see Ready Player One early at South by Southwest, and we're sitting down talking about some of our thoughts on it, and we'll share those with you. So keep an eye out for that if you want to see if you should go watch that movie. Roll money train keeps on rolling. Oh, and they've got another movie coming out next month. You might have heard of it. You might have heard of it. Did you heard of it? 19th, they are giving you and 4 friends around the world.
The opportunity to find.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was like, I can make this work. It just takes me a second.